Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Mystic Revolution. And this season, we're focusing on conscious creation and all the being and the doing, and some tips and tricks and some deep wisdom about that. So I really look forward to playing with all of you on that, especially Susana.
Yeah. Welcome to Mystic Revolution. We are in season 3, Conscious Creation.
It's really amazing to think how much fun we've had, Susana, up till now. So, but first, you know us, first, a little meditation. So, wherever you are, if you're not driving, please tune into your inner world and close your eyes and notice your weight in the chair and just rest. Really let the chair support your body and breathe. Really let the divine breath support your soul, the physical breath support your body. And breathe. Good. And so we're just resting our body and resting our soul. And let's bring our attention to the center of the head, behind the third eye, and back all the way back to the middle. And just rest your attention there, like you're just seated in a park lounge, or seated in a beach chair. Just rest. Resting your attention here now. Beautiful. And so feel free to keep resting, body, soul, and spirit. Or if you'd like, you can start to open your eyes and stay resting as Susana and I start to chat about conscious creation. Conscious creation. So, Susana's going to start us off with some fundamental things, some of the big picture items we're going to be going into this season.
Sure. So some of the big picture items we're going to be talking about are having. Can we allow ourselves to actually create what we want? We're going to talk about being in the flow, in the zone of that creation. We're going to talk about co-creation. We're going to talk about owning your ability to create. And those are some of the big themes. We'll talk about it from a spiritual perspective. We'll talk about it from a magic perspective. We'll talk about it from a lot of different perspectives, because let's be honest, we're creating in every single moment. We are creating, right? And so what we're doing in each moment actually matters. And this is not to say we should all get caught up and spun out about every little word and every little thing that we're doing. But if we're thoughtful about it, if we're mindful about it, if we're conscious about it, we can have a bigger impact, a more exacting creation or manifestation. And so anyway, that's what this season is all about.
Yes, how exciting. I hope
Yes.
everybody who's tuned in is excited too and relates to us with questions or comments or their perspectives. It'd be great to hear. Yeah, because we're
Yeah.
all creating all the time.
Yeah.
From the time that we're starting to become together as bodies. I think that's a really powerful place to stand, that
Yeah.
we are co-creating with the universe, with each other, with spirit from the beginning and in each breath.
in each breath. And that's why I really appreciated your meditation just now of settling and relaxing and just allowing that to be, because that relaxed and calm and centered space is such a good place to start. And again, right, you can create if you're in intense rage or if you're in deep grief, obviously. But um, I'll just speak from my own perspective as a musician who has done a lot of improvisation. And I was lucky to have a teacher early on. So I had operatic and classical training, and I would get so in my head about it and get really insecure and
Yeah, there's a lot of techniques and there's a lot of expectations.
a lot of expectations. And finally, she said, stop making it about you. Now, I know that sounds strange to say, especially when you're creating, because this is my art, or you're creating an art, or you're creating a business, right? It
Right.
is about you. Um, but that sort of opened me up to the idea of getting, if you can get settled and just allow oneself to open, that really can be a really powerful place. And it sort of takes out ego. And it set me on this whole course of sort of like, why am I doing this? And I think asking the question, why do you want the particular thing, can be a useful place to start. Are you doing it out of a need to be seen, out of a desire for money, out of all sorts of things? And none of those things are bad at all, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But getting clarity on the why can help you fine tune that which you actually want to have. Now, getting back to this art thing or this singing thing, what I really wanted is just to be able to be confident and just be able to make sound and not have stage fright or freak out or whatever. I just wanted to be able to do it without it being an excruciating experience. That's really all
That's the
it
honest truth.
was, right? And and so the idea, like, somehow it got planted in my head, or I just got like inspiration. What if I'm just a channel for love, beauty, and joy? Love, beauty, joy, truth.
Nice.
And that shifted my whole perspective, because it's like, well, if I get up there and like nothing comes out, or I'm off key, or I croak, like not die, but like make a croaking sound.
Not on purpose.
Not on purpose, right? Like maybe that's okay, right? Like maybe it will inspire someone to know that they can just get up and do whatever, or maybe it'll make someone mad and be like, I can sing better than her, and kick them in the butt to do something. It doesn't matter, right? Like whatever they take with it.
Right.
Anyway, being able to do that has served me well, and it served me well the other night. And then I'll stop talking. We get back to the conversation.
No, I want to hear.
I was
I want to hear the other night.
I was doing a performance, and I have a lot of gear. I have loopers and effects and all sorts of things. And even though a lot of what I do is sort of in the moment, and I'll just say channeled in the moment, it's fun to play with gear. It's fun to play with stuff. And I got all set up and I had all the stuff and whatever. And it turns out that I had fried one of my pedals by plugging in the wrong adapter. And I'm not going to say I got worried, but of course you want everything to work, because I had planned it out. And so I went through this whole thing of taking everything apart, putting it together again, like 3 or 4 times. I had a friend who's very well versed in equipment come over and help me. And then it was time for everyone to go on. And I was like, oh, well, see what happens. I was on last, and by the time when I went up, I did one more little check, couldn't make it happen. And I could have very easily been like, sorry, everybody, I can't do anything.
It didn't even occur to me that you would do that, but you could have.
I could have.
Yeah.
But what had happened as I was sort of watching and waiting for my time is like I was meditating on it. I was listening to the people, and I was really getting in the zone of creation, and I was looking up there, and I was seeing one of my ascended masters guides up there, and they weren't behind the gear. They were just in front. They were up front. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. And I got a very clear picture. It's going to be fine. I'm like, okay, just do the thing. Open up, be the channel. I'm like, okay. So that's what I did. And it was just me and my voice and none of the stuff. And, I never know I didn't know what was going to come out, but it came out. And when I was done, I felt satisfied, like it was fine. And it turns out, like everyone else there was like, that was amazing. That was great. Even had people say, I'm so glad your gear didn't work. Mm-hmm. And so, that's just a snippet of, getting to that place where you brought us with our meditation of just like that relaxed calm. And also, tuning into spirit and getting the guidance. It was a co-creative experience, right? With me and
yeah.
And so I guess I just wanted to start with that because a lot of times, and I've been guilty of this in the past when I didn't fully understand it, right? We get like, what's the manifestation process and all these steps and get into these spaces and places. And I think just being able to be in that relaxed, be here, be now space is amazing. And things can come out of that you might not have ever imagined. So I'll stop talking because I've been talking a lot.
I want you to talk, so thank you. Yeah, it's so interesting. One of the things I want to talk to you about more in this season is how alike it is to be artistically creating as creating our lives,
Yes.
as creating whatever manifestations that we're looking to bring into the world. It's all like, so it's the same thing.
Yeah, it is the same thing. And what I just described, like apply it to anything else. Apply it to a presentation you have to give at work. Apply it to whatever it is. And it goes back to, all the things that we've been talking about in the first two seasons, of finding that calm and that center and that groundedness. And that's really where the power of, like, not the only power, but so much power is, right?
Mm-hmm. It is the creativity, and it's the creativity we're looking to be here now with and let riding it.
Yeah.
So we're going to definitely be talking a little bit or a lot more about this because it's so important. But before we go on to the next thing, I thought maybe this is a good time for a break.
Yeah.
And then we can come back and definitely dive in more. So
sounds good.
Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com.
Hey everyone, just a friendly reminder that on the first Tuesday of every month, we hold a Mystic Revolution meditation, and you're invited. Just go to our website and you'll find the link. We look forward to seeing you then.
Raise your vibration and energize your life with specialized Fibonacci tuning forks that deepen meditations and empower self-healing. Get your vibrational sound tools for personal enhancement at energybodytuners.com.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Mystic Revolution, and this is our first episode of Conscious Creation. And Susana's really giving us a really nice overview of some of the things that we're going to be going into in more detail, and how can we just relax into ourselves and be here now with what is, and let go of there's things we want. Can we let go for a minute? There's things, we're striving that we're trained to have. Can we let go for a minute and just let the greater forces, let the wind blow, let the waves come, like not have to scrape and strive. I feel like that's just such an important point, and you brought it up, and I just wanted to expand it a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's an important point, because what it makes me think of is all the perfect pictures that we get of how something is supposed to be, and we strive very hard. I have, maybe none of you have, but I have strived very hard to achieve, some idealistic picture of something, and it was very constraining. And it squelched my creativity.
Yes.
It squelched my creativity. And especially as someone who wanted to sing and all these ideas about what you're supposed to sound like, or what you're supposed to look like if you're a performer, and what it's supposed to be. And it was crazy. I mean, I know this was a gift from the universe. I somehow got kicked into, or found myself in a group of improvisational musicians, where the whole deal is you have to create it in the moment.
Yes.
And that really quickly dissolves perfect pictures.
Yes. Yes. And were they all mystics?
No. I don't even know. I don't know. I mean, some of them were, some of them weren't. I mean, and I got put in, I don't want to make this about me, but I had a really funny gig where I was improvising with someone with an accordion for a performance that was in the pitch black. And I had never performed with this person before. So that real quickly knocks out any perfect pictures.
Right. Right. Really, and having just to trust, like it reminds me of teaching. It reminds me of leading meditations. It's the same thing. It's like I prepare and I'm ready and I have ideas and I have an outline and I've been talking about it, and then it happens, and then it's the dance. It's the song.
Yeah.
It's the same exact thing.
It is. And so I'd love to hear about, because teaching and leading is, a lot of people aspire to that. A lot of people are doing that. And it is a very creative process as an individual thing, but it's also like you are co-creating with the people you're teaching and working with. So I'd love to hear about your experience of that.
My experience was that it was my path to do that, to learn to read and heal. And then it was my path to learn to teach and actually teach. And I thought I might die. I was wiggling like a worm on the hook, and I didn't have any idea how that would happen. And I really was a mess about it. And but the beautiful part is that the process that you and I practice did all the things. Like it helped me become who I needed to be able to play.
Yeah.
And it forced me to practice that until it was actually fun, which it was not at first. It was not fun at first. It was torture. at first. For me, I was very shy, very broken, very contracted, very beat down. And so it really, really helped me to bloom. And then, and I know you have similar pictures. And then from that blooming, then it's fun and easy.
Yeah.
And then I'm out of the way. It's nothing to do with me, as you were saying. It's nothing to do with me. And what happens in that dance together is the beautiful, from my perspective, I'm engaged with it. It's not like I'm not, but it's still like the beautiful sacred wind through the flute.
Yeah.
Like I can't identify with it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I don't, then I can get out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the opposite of that, did you want to say anything about that?
I'm just vibing on what you're saying. I totally, yes,
Yeah.
please.
And then like I'm hearing the sacred like Native American flute, that's the picture. And then the opposite of that is like I used to just need all this validation. I needed to know I was okay, and I wouldn't look stupid, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And there's so many of us still, and that are like, we're trying to have this, do this, make this, manifest to validate.
Yeah.
Trying to like, oh, I have letters after my name now, so I'm okay. I have this amount in my bank, so I'm okay. I've created this amazing artwork that's actually in a being shown, so I'm okay. And it's like, it's that pressure that kills me, kills us, I think, and it kills the creative spark.
Yeah, and it gets back to the why. Why are we creating? I mean, when we're trying to intentionally create something, right?
Yes.
Why are we doing it? If it's for validation, that's fine. We're not judging anyone. My gosh, I'm
right.
Right?
Right.
Validation. I love validation. But when I dug a little bit deeper, in terms of my singing or teaching or whatever, I just want to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I want to feel comfortable. I want it to, like you were saying, not so much striving, not so much effort. I just want to be able to make a thing and enjoy making a thing. Enjoy it. And instead of attaching it to meaning some big thing or validating how important I am or whatever, right? It's just, I get to make it. And, I know a lot of people who easily just create, and none of this really even applies to you. I get that. So this conversation may not be for you. However, I know that also a lot of people create and a lot of artists create, and there is that stuff. And with the work that Wendy and I do and the things that we've talked about, getting to that place where you can kind of like drop that away and open up, blossom out, whatever it is. It can be easier. Now, I will go back. There is a discipline to it. It's action, right? It's not just meditating, although that can be super helpful.
Right. But
to your point, for your classes, right? You had to show up, no matter how excruciating it was, right?
Yeah, that was the beauty of, like, to have to show up as a reader, a healer, a teacher was excruciating for me. And but eventually so fun. And saw so much fruit for myself and others. Yeah, and I had a lot to learn, and I had a lot to grow in, and I want to say that, like, yes, so I can blossom and help others blossom, but also not be so hungry. If I'm not so hungry for the validation or for the whatever it is, if I like let that in as blessings, like self-acceptance, like rest, like ease, like these things, if I can allow them, the more I get them here, then I don't then it's just nice to get the validation. If I have to have it, I'm just like, oh gosh, I have to be this good, or forget it. I'm not going to perform. People do perform under that pressure. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't. I can't.
Yeah.
I need to be good enough, good enough inside to be able to show up and just be outside.
Yeah.
And other people do it the opposite. They show up outside and they be great, and then that helps feed the inside healing. So it's not one way or the other.
No, I mean, it's like, we like to think of energy systems, and we are co-creating. So the spark might be right here in me, but in putting it out, it creates a different system. Or I might get a spark, or people get downloads or inspirations from spirit, or from a good friend, or whatever. And then that creates the dance of creating, the playing, and we get to choose. And this is like where we get deeper into the conscious part. We get to choose how we play with that, how we look at it, how we use it. And are we going to allow ourselves to have like the full inspired experience of it? Or are we going to choose to, I'm just going to say, like, let old beliefs or insecurities or past experiences shape what we're trying to create in the moment?
Yes.
And we get to choose that.
Amen. We get to choose that. And as we do, we become creativity.
Yeah.
We practice it, we play in it, we allow it to flow, and eventually we just are creative beings. It's just crazy how creative we can be. It just can be just in flow. Speaking of flow, we can just be in flow of creativity all the time. This whole concept of like having writer's block or whatever, like it doesn't have to look like that. It could, it could look like, not that there's anything wrong with it. There's a time for things to come and there's a time not, but okay, this isn't coming, but this is. We're just in flow. There doesn't have to be an end to it. Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah. And being in the creative flow inspires other creators, just like you were at that thing being like, my pedal doesn't work, but you're being inspired by everyone else's creativity and lifted into the creative space, even though you're like, and it's just like, okay, here I go. Like their hot air helped lift you, their helium.
Yeah, their hot air, their unique presence was inspiring. And I, having had a past where I just judged myself so harshly. I mean, a part of me knows at this point, no one out there can judge me as hard as I have judged myself. So if people were going to judge, I mean, whatever, I could take it, because I like shredded myself to a bloody pulp more than enough times, right? So whatever, go ahead and judge me.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yes, it's so owie. And that's, I think we should talk more about that too. That, both being our own worst enemies, and also like what to do about judgment, what to do about invalidation, the terrible lies that say we suck. And so that's, all these are themes that we've said hello to before, and we will again, because they're important everywhere.
Yes.
So the last thing I wanted to say about what you were talking about is that everything's contextual. So we know people who are super creative and it's amazing, like in this area of their lives. And then I've worked with enough people to know that there's this other part that maybe isn't getting as much or as comfortable or as open, and so easy for us to judge our insides by other people's outsides.
Yeah.
We're all humans. We're here while we're still living, we're still in the game, we're still learning, we're still growing, we're still all figuring it out. There's nobody who has it all figured out.
No.
And when they do, they'll probably graduate, so they won't be, bothering you. Right?
Yes.
Like, we're just surrounded by learning.
We're surrounded by learning. Yeah. And I mean, to your point about, judging your insides by other people, I'm just going to say comparing, getting into competition. This is another thing we'll dive into a little bit more. I'll just say right now, there is no competition. There is no competition. What if there wasn't any competition? And what if whatever anybody else was doing, even if it was the same kind of classes or the same kind of business or the same kind of art or fashion, whatever, even if it seems like it's the exact same thing, there's no competition.
No, I mean, we're examples. We have a lot of differences, but we have a lot of the same training, and we do a lot of the same things, but it's really different.
It's really different.
You're different than I am. And so how you do it and who you be is different. We can't be in competition.
No. And there's actually enough space for us, apparently, because we can be on a show together. Right.
Right.
And that's true for everything and everyone. It really, really is.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this competition, and we'll do more with it, but like, it's not just with others, it's with an ideal.
An ideal. Yes.
So we have that too. And then also with like how the world is, and how it is and should be, how our concepts of the divine are or should be, and also our own selves.
Yeah.
Like, there's parts, if you just to use the picture of the chakras, like there's certain chakras that I'm like very open and flowing in, and I could be very creative in those areas. And there's others that I'm still in process learning, and there's others that are just like, maybe I can start to open my creativity a little more here. And like, can we let nothing be wrong? Because there's people out there be just like, well, you're not so hot, you don't have this figured out. It's like, yeah, I don't. I don't. I have other things figured out. And
the thing is, even if people go out in the world and say, I'm an artist in this, or I'm an expert in this, they don't have it all figured out. And it's important for us to remember that, because it can seem like, oh, well, that particular artist or whatever, gosh, I wish I was doing that. And we can have aspirations. I'm not saying that, right?
Right.
But we are different. And there is something within us that is a unique voice, a unique art expression, a unique mark that that there's space for.
Yes. And I would say need for, like, the world really needs your voice.
And your voice.
Your unique voice.
Yeah.
In a way like that no one else can do but you. And there's somebody that people, places, things, perspectives that can only hear your unique voice, receive your unique creativity. So it's like there's an invitation, and there's also like no pressure, but there's just all this opportunity to bless, within and then into the world, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And it's true for all of us, which is so exciting. And the thing is, how that is received. My teacher, my voice teacher at one point was like, it's none of your business. People get to do with your art, with anything, right? How they receive it, what they do with it is none of your business. They might be inspired. They might go home and be like, whatever. She's not all that. Or wow, that's so cool, I'm gonna go make my own thing, or whatever. They might, whatever. It's not don't not even think anything about it, because it didn't have any impact. And it's
right.
none of that needs to have an impact on your ability to create.
Yes. Yes. So this is a big learning, and I expect that this is a really different way to talk about conscious creation. And yes, we'll get into some like nuts and bolts of like how to manifest in the world. But I'm so thrilled to be starting with these foundations, Susanna, and I look forward to our next session where we'll
I do too. Or maybe you're
Yeah.
talking a little bit more than I am.
We'll see. I love to hear your information. I know mine.
Well, vice versa.
Okay, so on our way out, big surprise, we're going to do a little meditation. So notice again that you're resting in your chair, and notice again that you're breathing. And notice again that you can rest your attention, not just in the chair, but you can rest your attention in the center of your head, breathing. And to use the picture that came in this conversation, allowing the divine breath of life to flow through you, making your own natural sound, bringing your own beautiful music to your life and to your world. Feel free to sit with that for as long as feels comfortable, and if you'd like, you can start to open your eyes, and so you can see us to say goodbye. Thanks so much for playing.
Thank you. Bye.
And that concludes this portion of Mystic Revolution. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to get notified of new content. Don't forget to like and share. Join the Mystic Revolution. Click on the link in the description to get more information or visit themysticrevolution.com. Another creative art production by Retro Earth Studio.
So the idea of what we're talking about, I know that there are people that are thinking this way all over the world. And when we can find them and unite with them, wow, it can make such a difference.